Hello, I am Jimmy Siermine, Full Sail film student, and this is my art history podcast. I'm here with Robert Sloan, a lab instructor for editing visual effects at Full Sail. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jimmy.
That's great. Let's start out with the first question here. What do you see as the role of visual arts in our mass-mediated world, and particularly in your profession?
Well, the visual arts are kind of a representation of our culture as a whole. Each piece is created as a form of entertainment generally. But if you take a look back at the historical retrospect, you'll see that every generation kind of defines their entertainment bits a little bit differently. Specifically, we can take a look at horror films and we can see 60s and 70s, you had a known villain. This always came back and haunt you. It's very similar to the Cold War. There's a known villain that was out there for you. But with more modern times, with kind of the cultural fears over terrorism and whatnot, we end up getting a paranormal activity where it's an unknown horror that's coming out to really take us on. So it doesn't matter whether it's painting, sculpture, films, everything tells its tale and kind of its place in culture.
Okay. With new communications and media technologies, imagery is almost instantly available. Do you believe that this is having a positive or negative influence on the industry? If you have any examples of that, you could share that.
Yeah, so I find it to be very positive. I'm kind of an optimistic person. But with more and more kind of distribution kind of elements that are available for media to come in, there's going to be a lot more space for artists to be employed. So we've seen this kind of boon with the internet and all these different the web series and stuff that have come out of it. Very profitable enterprises. So even though there's still the main media consumption of television and film, we've got all these new avenues opening up that all these different artists and graduates of Full Sail, like you're soon to be, there's an option for you to get hired somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. What popular images do you see that are frequently rechanneled throughout the entertainment history?
More often than not, they tend to be religious images that are repeated really often, but not necessarily as the religious story itself. The kind of ingrains mythology, if you will, because you've got many different religions and belief structures. They're taught to kids, like when they're young children. So they have these stories told and told and told. They become part of our belief structure as people. And so when the industry needs a story that they can fall back on, the creators of those stories fall back on those stories because they're very common story elements told over and over again. And that also allows it to relate to the audience themselves.
Okay. All right, here we go. Are there popular images that this industry has popularized or created?
Oh, I'm going to kind of follow back with the religious example and say the specific one would be the devil. Now he takes many different forms. It's just kind of the overall bad guy. So you've got like a Darth Vader. You've got the devil himself in some instances. But then you can just have just bad people. So they kind of fall in that there's always this good versus evil kind of tangent that comes from religious culture.
Kind of like the like exorcism movies or like Paranormal Activity.
Absolutely.
People that are possessed and things like
Absolutely.
that.
And even in a movie like Constantine, you see the devil actually personified. So and many characters like that. But you can take this to even be a good versus evil in a lot of comic book films. So you've got lore, religious lore, Norse mythology, like with a movie like Thor or something like that. So you've got Loki's the god of mischief or whatever, but he's also kind of a devilish figure because he just wants chaos and destruction. So it's those kind of examples that can come in too. They're not necessarily always the same devil. I'm taking the devil from a Christian perspective. Mm-hmm. But those same kind of characters can be represented in different forms and fashions.
Okay. Who is one of your favorite visual artists, or what is your favorite style of visual art?
Well, I'm a filmmaker, so I'm particularly biased to film as a visual art form. And out of artists within that kind of visual genre, I'd say Guillermo del Toro. He's a Mexican filmmaker. Um, Extremely visual in his storytelling. You can see his work directly in the characters and the makeup and the set design and everything that he kind of puts in his stories. So he's definitely one of my favorite visual storytellers.
Okay. And last one, how has your knowledge of famous artworks influenced your creative process?
Inspiration comes from many different forms. So having many other things to basically inspire me is extremely helpful in evolving my creativity. So it's definitely influenced both as homage or mimicking that can be done.
Okay. Well, it was great. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thanks for
And,
having me.